Hello and welcome back. This is my second video and thank you very much for the feedback last time. I had received quite a lot of feedback from people and it was a really great feeling for me to be able to hear that I managed to help some of you, and I was really looking forward to make the second video, so here I am. And I would like to start straight away with a question. Did you know that 5% of a population has more money than the rest of the 95%? I think it's quite an amazing thing. I mean, amazing is really, just really makes me think, why is that? Why, what can that 5% of a population do that the rest of the 95% can't, or they don't do, or really? And I believe it all starts with thinking, and they have really good habits. And because the positive thinking, leads to the actions, and then the actions leads to, if repeated actions lead to a habit, and they already have this habit. They do the positive thinking automatically without even thinking about it, and I think that's the key. And that's why I made the last video about positive thinking. And in case you want to rewatch it, it was about, just in a few words, it was about the importance of thinking positive, and the importance of always trying to find the positive in every situation, because every situation has equal amount of negative and positive things, but we decide where do we focus our attention. With the little torch, so you basically point the torch to the good things and not to the bad things. That was the one that we talked about. And yeah, what we focus on is really matters. And I found out that from all these books, regardless of what they are about, whether you want to quit smoking, or you want to achieve really great health, or you want to get the best relationship, you want to get the best work, or anything, it's the most bestsellers or the most successful books, they all grasp the same concept, and the concept starts with the thinking. If you think this way, you will get to that point. And I can tell you an example on this. I used to smoke. I smoked about 10 years, and I tried to quit many times before. And always, once not smoking for a month or a month and a half, there was one more, and then boom, I started it again. And the reason was because in my head, I didn't think like a non-smoker. I thought like a smoker, and that really made all the shift. When I went out and people started smoking around me, when we were on a party or whatever, I punished myself. I said to myself, oh, they're so lucky they can smoke and I can't, because I decided that I'm not going to do it. How stupid I was. Why did I do this? Blah, 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 blah. I didn't think all the positives then, like, oh, okay, I don't have to spend money on this. I can be more healthy. All that sort of stuff. It just all faded away. I was thinking about, why can I just not do what they do? But then I read this book from Alan Carr, and he was basically like a really big chain smoker. He had to wake up in the middle of the night to smoke cigarettes because he was so addicted. And then after like 100 times, he tried quitting as well. But then he found the way how to do it. And then he wrote the book. And I read the book. And believe it or not, that was the thing that just brought all the success to me. And in that book, there was nothing else other than thinking. I didn't have to use a nicotine patch or anything. It was just all, even he says in his book that he tried that way and he said it's all bullshit. You don't need that, All you need is change your thinking, and there are no real side effects of not getting more nicotine anymore and stuff. Anyway, if you want to get into that, read the book. It's from Alan Carr, and I don't know the title in English because I read it in Hungarian, but it was something like Alan Carr, I would like to quit smoking, or something like that. Anyway, it was just a mind shift, and after that I started thinking like, oh my God, I'm so lucky. When I saw those people smoking, I said, I'm lucky. I don't need to smoke again. I'm free of this bad habit, and it's so good, and it was so uplifting, and then I felt so much better about myself, and then I rewarded myself for thinking like this, and then bam, it just happened. So rewarding is also very important, which we will talk about it, and we will talk about that a little bit later. Also, all of these books come with the also grasp the same kind of concept of law of attraction. So the law of attraction says that everything in this universe or on this earth is vibrating with a frequency, and that frequency brings another frequency to it with a similar frequency. So basically meaning, if you think negative, that has a frequency. If you think positive, that has another frequency. And if you think positive, it will bring other positive vibrations to you that will make you think even more positive. And I know it sounds all like all like a bit of a gibberish and whatever, and it's really hard to believe. I totally get it, but there are so many things we don't understand. We don't understand electricity. Like, could you tell how electricity creates, the actual thing on the TV that you see? You don't know. It has electricity, or the light just comes up, So many people doesn't even understand it, but still we use it, right? So we could use this to our advantage. And even if you really don't believe it, or you think it's not that important and stuff, and even if we don't say negative things to ourselves, you have to admit that there was actually a research about this, that 91% of our communication doesn't come from the actual words we say. It comes from our body language and the tonality. And so people can see if you are not positive, even if you don't speak. And that could also prevent you from something not happening to you. That's my belief. So that's why I think if you positive inside, you will be positive outside. And as soon as you're positive outside, you have a different approach on how you approach people, how people look at you, and all that sort of stuff. And then the actual event will come to you, will be slightly different, and I think it will be just better and better and better. And if you really grasp the actual technique of keep on finding the good things in every scenario, aka pointing your torch into the right direction, you will get there. You will be way happier every day, and then later on you can be more successful, and we will build that into this video series on how to be more successful. And I think those people actually already at that level where they do this as a routine, so they don't even need to think about it, because we do need to think about it in the beginning, because and there are 4 stages on this, and the first stage is that you don't know that you don't know, which means, for example, I'm learning to drive a car, so probably most of you can connect with this. When you were a kid, you didn't know that you don't know how to drive a car, because you didn't even know that the car needs to be driven. So you just didn't know that you have to do this. Or before, you didn't know that, before my first video, let's say you didn't know that positive thinking is that important. Okay, now you know, so now you're in the second step, or the second stage. Now you know positive thinking is important, but you don't know how to do it all the time. So then, there's one tool where you can basically stop and literally start thinking, move the torch in the room and find the right location. Find something that you can generate a positive feeling from, whether that's gratitude or love or anything that's beauty, or anything that really gives you the positive feeling. That's one of the steps. But you have to do this all the time. So when you start feeling a bad feeling, you just need to stop and okay, I need to change this now. And you just start, okay, what is good in this? And then trust me, there is always a good thing in everything. Even if it looks like the worst thing in your life, there is always one thing that can be good. Maybe not straight away, maybe in a few years' time. It happened to me that there were things that in my life before, when I was sacked from a school, I was like, oh my God, my life is ended, whatever. And then if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be in London today. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't even talk to you. I wouldn't have met the same people. And that's like 15 years ago. But it still ended up as a really, really good thing. So, trust me, there is always something. And even if it's not true, like you say, oh, it will be good because this will lead to my future husband or anything, then maybe that's not true, but at least you think about a good thing by this happening, the happening resulted in a good feeling anyway. So they don't necessarily have to be true, because you don't have that control, and we will get to that as well. Anyway, so the third stage is doing it, but you need to focus on this thing. So with the car, for me, I'm driving at the moment, or I'm learning to drive, and what I realized that when the instructor doesn't talk to me, I'm fine. I can drive. I do the indication, everything, clutch and acceleration and everything. But he starts talking to me, and I start talking to him. I realize my focus shifts, and then I suddenly start. I just miss an indicator. I miss something. So because I really need to focus on what I'm doing, and then once I do it more and more and more and more and more, that's when it becomes natural. And lots of people do this. Like now, people eat in the car, maybe even have sex in the car, whatever, and they're fine because they've done it so many times. So this is what we need to achieve. We need to do this for a long enough time until it becomes a habit, and then we will be in the 5% of those people that are there already, because they do this as a habit, really. And Newton has also a law, Newton basically found out something, that an object will move to the same direction as long as there is a big enough force to move it out from that direction. So for me, I look at this as having a piece of wood, swimming on a river, and it just basically goes with the flow. And it's not really going to change the direction as long as it goes with the flow, unless some big power will, just simply divert it into a different direction. So that's what has to happen to us. Right now we are in the flow, and maybe we are not in the right direction where this river takes us. Maybe we are going kind of downhill, with all these thoughts. We blame others. We have bad feelings about things. We tend to look at the negative side of things. And by the way, I think this is how we are programmed. And I think that comes from childhood and stuff. But anyway, that's again, otherwise this video will be a 6-hour-long video. So you have to kind of stay tuned. And then I will talk about this, I promise. And I think it's all really interesting. And, as I said to you in the first video, I'm on my journey as well. So I'm not like the big pros. But still, I think it's easier if I start sharing this now, and then you can still, feel what I feel, because I'm not so different. I'm not so advanced on my journey. So I'm only a few steps ahead in this journey. So I think it's much easier to accept help from someone who's not so far ahead of you, And that's my idea with these videos, really. So we need a really big force to move us out of this thing. But once this force happened, then and then we start doing this, and we're doing this, and we're doing this, and we're doing this, and then it becomes a good habit, because there are good habits and there are bad habits as well. But the first thing that we need to do, if you want to move this little piece of wood that goes with the flow, you want to change the direction of this little piece of wood, it needs some kind of a destination, right? Because that's why it goes with the flow, because it doesn't know where to go. It's like you sitting in a car and having a GPS. And the GPS, you need to type in the address. Say, where do you want to go? If you don't type in the address, it's not going to take you anywhere. And you will just ride along the streets, and you're not getting anywhere. There's a junction. Should I go left? Should I go right? You don't know. You don't know what's the good choice and what's the bad choice in a way of getting where you want to go, because there is nowhere to go, or you don't know where to go. So that's really, really important to find out the address, the actual address or the actual destination. So we need to set some goals to us, really. So the tools that we can use for achieving this state would be, first of all, the positive thinking itself is one tool to achieve the continuous state of staying, of being a bit happier, really, with our lives. Because being happy doesn't necessarily mean being rich or anything. It's just simply being happy. And the second thing is that we need to know what makes us happier. So the main reason for today's video was really to explain the why is it important to make this as a routine or as a habit, because once we make this as a habit, we don't need that force to keep on changing the direction of that wood that is in the flow, because once we do this habitually, we will have the flow of, we will basically on the flow to the positive direction. So basically we change the river and we flow down to the right way, and not the bad way. And once we flow down to the right way, we don't need as much effort to keep flowing to the right way. And that's what I start feeling with myself now. It was really difficult in the beginning to keep staying focused and stuff on like, oh, what's the good thing, what's the good thing, what's the good thing. But now it comes more naturally. I'm like, okay, how is it good? Oh yeah, I can see this, I can see that. And then there are just some people that even if they sit down, they can take 5 minutes and they still can't find any positive. But trust me, there is some sort of positive thing. So I just wanted to tell you this today, that this is why it is important. Because if you make this a habit, then you don't need to spend as much power to do the same thing. It's actually like this with lots of things in life. Even if you think of an airplane, whilst the airplane takes off, uses much more kerosene. Yeah, that's the word, sorry. So it uses way more kerosene than once it's on the air, and then it's just flying, it has a free flying. It uses much less power. So this is exactly the same kind of example as Newton said. It needs a very big amount of power to change the direction. So it might take a big force from your side to start doing this, but I challenge you to take 21 days and to basically have this challenge to keep thinking positive. And every time on the day you find yourself that you think negative and you don't feel great, stop. Say to yourself stop, or pinch yourself, or find something to break that kind of thinking pattern, and don't start anything else until you've found at least one thing that you can be grateful for. Because gratitude is probably the best thing that you can start with. I think that's the basic of this toolkit. Because there is always something that you can use. Like, you have your job. Maybe that's not a good example, because maybe you don't like your job, but maybe you have a good car and you can say, oh, I'm so happy that I have a good car. Or you have a nice spouse or girlfriend, or you have a nice daughter and you say, I just have a nice daughter. Or I have a nice watch, or anything that you're happy for, and say thank you that I have this. You could not have it. It could all go away, and then if it went away, you would be sad. Or you could just say, I'm so glad, or I'm so grateful that I'm healthy. Because trust me, the healthy person has 1,000 wishes, but a sick person only has one wish, and that one wish is to be healthy again. So you can be already grateful. You can be also grateful that you live in the UK, because the whole standard of life here is so much different than from in a different country. I know I'm from Hungary, so I have seen quite a few things, and even Hungary is not even worse. So I know that there are way worse places than Hungary in that regards as well. So that's what I wanted to say, yeah? And please stay tuned, because I'm already making the third video where I tell you what kind of tools you can use, to master these things and be positive, and then you actually can make this a routine and a good habit. So I'm looking forward to see you on the third video, and stay tuned. Have a nice evening. And take care. And if you like the video, please just share it or like it, and leave a comment or any kind of suggestion that you want me to talk about. I'm happy to hear. Bye.